want to come up with a banner and do a some sort of raffle that Bill suggested, so we can get some leads.
Yeah.
We just haven't figured out basically where to do it yet. That's there's so many places to do it. If you go to the beach, you might have to buy a permit. Where is it that we want to go? I don't know yet. That's basically where we're at.
Keys is to find someplace real cheap or free. So there's good return on investment. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah, and then we also have to, as he suggested, like I was just gonna go buy a free dinner for two at Outback, but he suggested don't buy it. Go talk to a restaurant, let them give a gift card, which that's a great idea.
They're happy to, trust me, they're happy to advertise.
And when you get into luxury homes, this is just a question that we keep in the office here. I know that we're not supposed to talk standard fees.
Careful, we're on YouTube Live.
Are we?
Yeah. No, but what does somebody typically, you can say that, typically charge for a luxury house?
It's typically, say you got a $2 million house. Would it be the typical same percentage? Let's just
Sometimes.
hypothetically say 3%, or would they say, oh well, because it's a higher, we'll do it for lower.
Sometimes they do a flat fee.
Gotcha.
But even with that, I mean, a $2 million house at 3%, what is that? $120,000? No, yeah.
It's 30,000.
It's 3,000 per 100,000. So do the math. So it'd be 30,000 for $1 million.
Yeah.
So it'd be 60,000 for 2 million. Yeah. All right. Welcome everybody. This is WBS 102. Working smarter, not harder. And I'm just going to finish a question here. So you might just say, yeah, I'll do it for a flat fee of 50.
Right.
But
which is slightly
yeah. I actually have a call with a girl that's all she does. Not all she does, but it's most of what she does.
Yeah.
She works St. Pete Beach, Madeira Beach, whatever. That's where her thing is. She works for builders. I'll ask her what they do, but I know that I've always just done 6%. And like you say, if it gets a little bit crazy, lower it a little bit. Bettina had that $8 million listing, and she was at 3%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Closed it.
No. It's still sitting out there.
Oh.
It's evidently, though, I got to be careful not saying this on here. Whatever. It's next to Reba McIntyre's house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's on Lake Thonotosassa. So anyway, working smarter, not harder. So as we talked about with buyers last week, and we're going to continue with one more week of buyers. This is when we only do 3 because working with buyers is not that difficult. The biggest thing with working with buyers is you not wasting your time. Because the easiest thing you can do is waste your time getting caught in what I call the buyer trap. So we'll talk a little bit about that and some of these things and things like that. Daryl Davis, I love Daryl. If you guys are ever interested, he runs, there's Suzanne. He runs a coaching class called The Power Agent. I have learned more from Daryl than probably anybody else in this industry, and he's only about $69 a month. Whereas these Mike Ferries and some of these other people are hundreds of dollars and whatever else. You could try it for free for a month. I joined for a while. The thing is, again, I don't sell real estate. The other thing I would recommend, and I own both of them. He's got 2 great books out there, How to Make $100,000 in Your First Year in Real Estate. And the second one, I believe, is called The Power Agent. When we're done class, if you remind me, I'll show them because they're both, I don't carry paper books. I do everything on my iPad or on here. So I can show you the books and you'll see a lot of my curriculum comes from this because he is, in my opinion, the best instructor out there. True New Yorker, got the accent, got the attitude. I love it. So I love him, But this is true. And this is a quote from Daryl. The more you try to sell a house, the more you unsell it. The best way to sell a house is open up the door. So I don't know if that show is still on. Funny, before I sold real estate, I used to enjoy from time to time a show here and there on HGTV. Now I can't, and there are still realtors that do. I can't stand it because I sit there and just pick apart the realtors the whole time, and I really don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what's wrong with these people? And they're on TV. I actually was on Beachfront Bargain Hunt. If I don't know if that show's still on, but I had a listing in Brigantine, New Jersey, and it was a deal. And so they called me and said, "Would you be on our show?" And I said, "Love to, and get to showcase my listing and for the world to see and whatever." But the show that drove me nuts on there was a show called Love It or List It. You guys remember that show? You ever see that show? So the guy who always was the one trying to talk him into a new house, and then the girl, I think it was always that way, or whatever. This one, he was trying to talk him into a new house, and she was trying to make the old house they have nice enough that they chose to stay where they were. And of course, there was budget concerns. It's old reality TV crap. So anyway, she's on. Where's Jerica? Jarika. I get yelled at. I say her name wrong. And he takes somebody into a house. Oh, so welcome, blah, 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 blah. This is your kitchen. This is your bedroom. I feel like saying, yeah, no kidding. That's the bedroom. I was going to put my sink in there and put a grill on it. And like, come on, Captain Obvious, shut up.
Right.
And this is what Daryl will tell you, shut up and let the house sell itself. And this is the truth. When you are new, it's the same thing with announcers. I was having this conversation last weekend when we were watching the NFL games. And you watch Tony Romo announce, you guys are football fans, or you watch Tom Brady announce. And I take it back to my old days of watching Richie Ashburn with the Phillies growing up. And one of the things he said, one of the first things he said to Harry Callis, who was a very young announcer back in like the early 70s, he said, "I don't just talk to fill the air. Don't be afraid of dead air. I only talk when something's important to say." If you listen to Tom Brady announce, he always says, but he's got a lot of good insight, but he's not motor mouthing.
Right.
Tony Romo is like one of those dogs in the mall when you were a kid, you pull the thing, he never shuts up, and it drives you nuts, right? Well, my belief for that, and I had a couple friends and a couple agreed, a couple didn't. I think that just Tom Brady's a lot more confident in himself, and Tony Romo is not. It's the same thing with the new realtor. You go in a house, you want to, and here I'm sitting, you got to show value, you got to show value, you got to show value, right? Do I tell you that all the time? So you go in and you over communicate. With this, don't over communicate.
It's a nervous reaction.
It's a nervous reaction. Exactly right. And again, what you want to do is go in and let the house show the house. And I'm going to tell you something else. It might be on a later bullet point, but I'll just mention it again. But I want to make sure I get this out. If any of you that have been selling for a while, if you ever go in a house and you might point out something that's like, "Oh, did you see this? Look at," and to bring somebody's attention to something that you think is the best thing in the world. And all of a sudden, they're like, "Oh my God, I hate that we're not buying this house." They might have bought the house, not even noticing it, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Don't just assume that
Somebody else likes it.
somebody's going to love exactly what you love or whatever else. So you're better off opening the door. There's the argument. I've sat in real estate things. Should you lead and be in front of the person? Should you be behind the person? If you be next to the person, my thing is that you should be invisible, but there when they need to answer a question. We're going to talk a little bit more too about which questions you don't answer in the house, because that goes back to the same theory of you want to be Mr. Knowledgeable, right? How much are the taxes? What's the square footage? Don't you feel like if I asked you that when in the middle of a showing, wouldn't you feel like you want to know that? Or you should know that and be able to tell me? I don't want you thinking about that. You know why I don't want you thinking about that? How much is this house listed for? I don't want you thinking about that, because now you're just trying to run a number in your head, and you're not. Something that car salesmen do, and I don't like to. I'm not comparing us because we're not the same. But in this case, this is something that's true with anything. You ever heard a car salesman ask, "Forget about the price. Forgetting about the price, is this a car you would drive home in?" And the theory behind that, I talked to a couple people in the industry. I'm like, that's the most sales guy. I hate that. They do it, any of them that are trained do it about 3/4 of the way in a test drive, and it's like a robot. So, other than the price, is this the car you want to drive home today? Why do they do that? Because if I can give you a car for $50 a month and you hate it, it's still pointless, even though it's way maybe under your budget, right? If I give you a car that's maybe $50 over your budget, but you love it, you would say, well, I won't have pizza on Friday nights, and make that go. You've got to find the right product first. And so I explain that to people. So I'm going to write down your questions when we go out. What I want you right now to do is just decide, is this the house I like or not? What does the square footage matter? If you walk in and say, yeah, this room's big enough, that room's big enough, what does that really matter?
Well, how do you feel about if you had like a basic information sheet when you meet the client
I give it to them
afterwards?
afterwards.
Gotcha.
Yep. One of the things that we used to be able to teach this with some of this stuff and a couple of the different trainings. One was try to keep the address and keep the price away. With the advent of the internet, it's impossible.
Right.
When I first started in this business, there were still 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it was 12 years ago, there were still MLSs that were still on paper. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Yeah. And my MLS in New Jersey had just gone digital on the worst platform you could ever imagine. Anyway, so
I can imagine.
keys to working with buyers. Top producers have 75% of their income coming from sellers and 25% or less come from buyers. I've said it over and over. You work with sellers, you play with buyers. With that being the case, 75% of your energy should be focused on building your inventory and only 25% on working with buyers. If you talk to 90% of agents, they spend more of their time on buyers than they do sellers. Number two, you have to have the right attitude. Don't be desperate. Oh my God, I need to make this sale. What I want you to do is get to a point, and you will get there, guys. I promise you, if you follow everything we're teaching here, I want you to get to the point that this buyer that you're going to work with is the buyer that you're going to make the money to buy your new golf clubs. I know I can say that to you, right? That's what you're going to do with it. Or you're going to go buy, something fun and something for you, something nice for your house, something for your husband, it's not the money that, I got to pay my mortgage with this. And I'm not telling you guys that are brand new that your first sale, you should be able to do that, but as you get going and you keep this 75-25 rule going, that's where you want to get to a point. This is my fun money. My buyers are my fun money. And you will get there. And when you do that, when you go out and work with them, you're never going to feel desperate. I mean, you want those golf clubs, trust me, we got a Callaway fitting come up with my club. Yeah, I want to, my clubs are new, but anyway. But don't have the attitude that you have to make the sale. It's the deer in the headlights, right? My buddy Mike always made the joke, the guy that's sitting there at the bar at 11 o'clock at night just trying to meet a girl, right? Yeah. He's got the deer in the headlights look. Yeah. You don't want to have the deer in the headlights look. So the right attitude is, I don't need to make a sale. Why? I got plenty of inventory. I got plenty of listings. So let the buyer be free to make the decision without you putting pressure on them. The other thing too, guys, I've said this over and over to you in the prospecting trainings and whatever else, we're not salespeople. I can't convince somebody to buy a house. You guys have heard the story about my car, right? Have I told you guys that story? So for a long time, I was getting BMW convertibles. I had like 6 of them in a row. Yeah. And I went in to get an oil change. The guy said, hey, there's a new model coming out. It'd be less money a month, blah, 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 blah. You'd be one of the first people in the country to have this new model. I was the 6th one in the country to have this model. That was a good salesperson. I walked in for an oil change, walked out with a car. You're walking someplace and you see a dress or you see a suit or you see something and you go into a store without any intention to buy. You come out with a bag. Why? It was a good salesperson. It's very rare. Now, there are situations where you could say to somebody, you do realize, especially when we had 3% interest rates, you could sell this house right now that you're paying a 6 or 7 or what people were 8, some people were paying then, and you're going to have less of a payment and get double the house, plus with the equity you have in this. And there's some convincing there. So you shouldn't say never, but especially in this situation, let the house sell itself. Number 3, there's 2 reasons to work with buyers. Number 1, they're quick and easy money. You should not have to ever show a buyer. I put 7. I would really say 5. I'm going to stick with 7. You really should not have to show more than 7 houses to make a sale. If you know our shiny penny rule that we talked about last week, and you explained to them from the start, I'm only going to show you the best of the best of the best in your price range, because why would, if you don't like houses 1 through 5, what makes you think you're going to like number 7 or number 9? That's smaller, or it's older, or it's okay. And when they understand that, and you've educated them ahead of time, they're not going to want to see those. The other thing, I think we'll talk about this a little today and again next week, is all of a sudden they go from this thing of, oh, there's a billion listings out there, to wait, there may be 25 listings in my price range, but there's only 2 or 3 or maybe 5 that match my criteria. They go from, I have all these houses to pick from, to, wait, which one of these is the best for me?
Right.
You see the difference in mindset changes everything. Secondly, they're a break from working listings. Trust me, you guys, I don't think anybody here is, maybe Jerica has been doing this long enough, where you're making 3 hours of calls 5 days a week. And you just got a listing or two, you might want to take a week off. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, take a week.
Right.
And go play with a buyer. You'll come back that next Monday, re-energized, and keep building your inventory.
Yeah.
Remember, there are 3 types of buyers, A, B, and C. We talked about this, so I'm just going to review. A buyers have to buy. Always work with A buyers. Remember I told you the story, the guy that's living in the Residence Inn with the 3 kids, the wife, the dog, the cat, the bird, and whatever else I said, the goldfish. I think the goldfish would be okay. The rest of them, yeah. Always work with A buyers because they have to buy now. And that's a dramatic of what an A buyer is. An A buyer is somebody that comes to you and says, my lease is up March 1st and they're not renewing it. That's an A buyer. They have to buy or rent, but whatever. A B buyer is someone that wants to buy but doesn't have to buy. If you're on a listing break, go ahead and work with them. Just make sure they don't waste too much of your time. C buyers, there's no commitment here. Yeah, they'd like to buy, and at some point they probably will. But it doesn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be whatever. There's no urgency. Refer them out. Know your inventory. Guys, you should, if I say to you, what does a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, pool house cost in Tarpon Springs? You guys should be able to give me an answer on that. Now, you may not, you may not say no Tarpon Springs, but if I say Wesley Chapel, no. But if I say Wesley Chapel, you should know it.
Yeah.
Because that's where you live now.
Right.
That's, start with your core and work your way out. Okay. One of the nice things in this area, there are area differences. Wesley Chapel is going to be more expensive than, let's say, the South Shore area, but the whole South Shore area, you're kind of, unless you're in a waterfront or something like that, it was pretty much priced the same way. With Wesley Chapel being a little bit higher, then you got little different things over in the pockets over here. But learn where you are and work your way out, so that somebody says to you, I was pre-approved for $600,000. You can immediately in your head know the town and know, okay, this is the value of getting the best of the best for $600,000.
Right.
And I know you're going to get a 5-bedroom, whatever you're going to, so know your inventory. Customers expect you to know your company's inventory even better than the entire inventory. Oh, you have a listing. What do you mean? It's Ginger's, right? Ginger's got what, 4 listings right now? It's Bettina's. It's not, but they look at it as Century 21 that it's your listing.
Right.
So make sure you know, especially what our office is doing. The good news is Brendan, he just redid some of them. Always keeps them on the door.
Yeah.
So every time you walk in, take 30 seconds and say anything new, and know the ones that are there. Right now, we don't have a ton of listings, so it's a good place to start learning. Not knowing that your company has a listing just makes you look dumb. I put on professional in this because I was trying to be professional, but the truth is, it makes you look dumb. Number 6, don't try to sell a house over the phone. Instead of trying to describe a house over the phone, get the conversation towards a time the buyer can go see the home. People call. Why? Oh, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to ask you. Why do people call about a listing?
They want to see it.
Is it? It's because they want to eliminate it.
Ah.
So imagine you're married and you and your wife lie in bed on the, my normal Sunday morning story. She says, I'm going to have another baby. You just got to raise at work. Maybe we need a bigger house. You both say, hey, you know what? We always thought about moving to Meadow Point, right? You know Meadow Point? That's in Worcester Chapel. All right. They want to move to Meadow Point,
Yeah.
right? They want to move to Tarpon Woods. I'll use 2 at a time. Okay. So they look, and there's an open house, whatever else. They go to the open house, and they come back, and they make a list of all the houses in Tarpon Wood. But one of the, or Meadow Point, either one. But one of the things in MLS and Zillow, and what they're not using MLS, but Zillow and all those don't necessarily do is weed out the fact that they want to have a fence and a pool. So you go to work on Monday morning, and you say to her, okay, we got 25 on the list. Call each of the realtors that are listing agents and find out which ones have pools and fences. Because they don't want to look at even they don't want to look at 25 houses. They want to look at the house. They'll look at 25. They all have pools and fences. They're calling to eliminate. And we'll talk about that when we get the phone tips. We're working with buyers, but understand that's what they're trying to do. So when they call you to get all this, oh no, this is a house you got to really see to appreciate. Get them off of trying to eliminate you and get you off the phone into becoming your client and going to actually see the house. Number 7. Oh, man, I'm always ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Here it is. Why are they calling? They're calling to eliminate your ad. The buyer is looking for that one perfect house. So they call to narrow their list. Like, again, I just did this bullet, sorry. But they're not calling for an appointment. You have to work for the appointment. One thing to back up on this, and I started to allude to it, and I knew I would wait for this, not knowing it was the next slide, is many people out there, and we talked about this last week or the week before in one of the other trainings, think that you can only sell houses that are Century 21 because you're Century 21, and that you could only sell houses that are Coldwell Banker because you're Coldwell Banker and Remax or whatever. What you have to do is explain to them, when they call, you want to take control of this conversation. And what you want to say is, hey, you probably have a bunch of houses you want to check on. Just so you know, I have access to the mobile listing service. I can answer your questions on all of them. What other properties are you looking at? Oh, you can? And you may be the 4th realtor they called that day. The other 3 didn't know this and just answered the question. They said, oh, yep, not interested, and hung up on them before they could say another word. So stop and control the conversation and find out and realize this is why they're calling. They're not calling because they want to come see the house. They're calling to see if it's their perfect house. Then, go from there. Also, remember when they call, they may be loyal to another agent. You want an appointment with you. So, and again, this is what I was saying. It's very, very hard because of the internet, but try not to give them an address until after the appointment's made. I got the perfect house for you, this, that, whatever. Can we meet at Dunkin' Donuts? Because, I want to go over a couple things and show you some stuff. It's pretty close to this house. They're going to find it because the internet is the internet's the internet. Zillow's Zillow. Number 9, don't pay too much attention to what they say they want. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. So I only want a 2-story house. I only want da-da-da-da-da. Well, I'm in a price range, let's say a 500 to 550. And you know that in that 550 range, there's a ranch that blows away every 2-story house. The second you show it to me, guess what's happening? You show me the other ones too, what am I doing? I'm making an offer on that ranch. Unless there's a real reason. If I said I only want a ranch and you show me a 2-story and it's because I've got somebody with me that's in a wheelchair, there's exceptions to this. But the thing to remember is buyers will always buy the house that they feel they're getting the biggest bang for their buck. They feel like they're getting the absolute, I got a steal on this. I got a house that's for 550 that looks like it's worth 650. Yeah. That's what they'll do. The other thing to remember is a lot of buyers don't necessarily know what they want. I've gone in houses as a realtor and seen features I never knew existed that I totally want. Yeah. As a realtor, I've done that, right? Let me give you a more of an example of something, though, that's more practical that will happen. If you have somebody that, let's just say they've never lived in a house with a dedicated office. Many of the houses down here, they have the front of the house. You could call it a bedroom, but it's really not. There's no closet or whatever else. It's an office. And they go in and they see that, and they've never really seen one before. They're from where I'm from in New Jersey, where nobody has that, or very few places. It's a different whatever, construction down here. They see that and like, wow, I never seen anything like this before. I want that. right? So just understand they don't always even know what they want. So show them the best of the best. 4 keys to listen to. I know you're going to find this absolutely incredible that I'm going to say this, but is we need to find out what they're committed to. I told you, I see it every week. Why are you moving? When do you want to move by? Why do you want to move to that area? Have you seen anything else, or what else have you seen? 2 focuses with buyers. You've got to create urgency. Now, if you've got a true A buyer that's family's driving them crazy in the Residence Inn, this is a little bit less work than maybe if you're working with that B buyer. From the start, create urgency that it's better to buy today than tomorrow. One of the ways you can do this, and one of the ways you should do this, we talk about this I don't know if it's this training or another one, but it doesn't matter. I'll just quickly, is when somebody calls asking, when we do telephone tips, I think we did this in Prospecting for Success. The first thing you ask somebody, so they call on one of your listings, what's the first thing you do? Or on any listing, what do you do? Can you hold on a second? Let me see if that house is available. I just changed the whole dynamic of our conversation by doing that. I darn well know it's available. It's my listing, but it's not. I did it because it's psychological. What did I just do? Now you want it.
Yeah.
We all want what we can't have.
Created a one.
I've created a one. Whereas I'm going to call, hey, honey, I'm going to call about this house. I don't know. We'll see, whatever. And now I call. Oh, hold on. Can you hold on a second? I want to see if it went under contract. Now I'm on hold. My whole attitude changes from let me see if we want it or whatever. Now I want it.
Yeah.
It's in demand.
Somebody else wants it.
So you're creating urgency.
Yeah.
And the second thing, especially if you're working with first-time home buyers, but the truth is the average person buys and sells a house 3 times in their life. So even somebody that's the 3rd time, it's not like buying a car, which, some of us every 3 years, or whatever, every 2 years, 5 years, whatever you buy a car. It's not a regular experience. So you have to continually keep them focused on what they're committed to and keep them calm. Phone inquiries. I am just ahead of myself today. This is exactly what we're going to teach you. The first thing you're going to do is the introduction. Number 2 is available, which I just explained. Always stopping. See if it's available. Qualifying them. What we call the fair exchange. They ask a question, you ask a question. They ask a question, you ask a question. Schedule an appointment, confirm it, validate yourself and your company, get them excited about our 6-step buying process, which is where we're going to get them to go and meet us and fill out a buyer broker agreement, and then invite action. I have the script for you guys. I'll get it to you for this that goes through this. But let's talk a little bit about this. Well, yeah, let me just go through this all real quick. The introduction is basically them calling, because here's how they're going to call you. Hi, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Does that house have a pool? That's going to be it. And here's what they expect and what they want. Yes or no. Well, I'm sorry, what house did you say? I'm slowing them down. I heard them. 123 Main Street. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know if that just went under contract. Can you hold on? Pause. Wait 30 seconds. Now I've slowed down their roll, right?
Yeah.
And I'm taking control of the conversation, and that's what's important here. And now they're thinking, oh, well, if that is a pool, I want it. So I picked the phone back up. Oh yeah, I just checked. Good news is there's, as of right now, there's no offer pending on that property. Is that I know it's a $500,000 house. Is that the price range you're looking to go into? Oh, yeah. When are you looking to move? Well, does it have a pool? And you see how I'm asking a question, they're having a question as I'm moving into fair exchange. So they say, does it have a pool? Yes, it has a pool. Let me ask you, when are you looking to make a move? Boom, boom, tit for tat, back and forth until I get all the information that I need, what they're committed to, when, this, that, whatever, and get to know them a little bit. So instead of them just calling to get a yes, no answer, they know who I am and whatever else. Then I go into the scheduling appointment. Listen, the best thing I can do, I have a couple other properties that are similar to what you're saying here. Why don't we set up a time? We'll go out and see 3 or 4 of these properties. And you can tell them, I always know the best properties in a price range and it's in the area that you'd like. And then you talk a little bit about yourself and your company and things like that. I also have what's called a 6-step buying process. My 6-step buying process makes sure that you can find the best house without having to go out week in and week out and see a billion different houses. We can find you the absolute best house, negotiate the best price, and get you moved with the least hassle. When would you like to go see him, tomorrow or Wednesday? What's better, afternoon or morning? The power of choice close, and boom, there you go. So now I'm going to meet with them. After I've done this, we're going to meet. Again, remember the importance of creating urgency and managing their emotions. So you can use a buyer presentation book if you want. I don't know, that was when I first wrote this training with 2014. That was more of a thing than it is now. Now it's kind of like you're getting out a sales book, but you can if you'd like. You can even have just a one sheet, like we do with the marketing, to go through how your process works, and that's a great idea to do. But explain the process before beginning it. I would not tell them the meeting takes an hour. We used to do that. I would tell them now, we're going to meet for, half hour, 20 minutes, half hour to go through everything. The beauty now is if they say, I don't want to do that. I just want to go see the house. Well, unfortunately, there was a lawsuit a year and a half ago and we have to have a buyer's broker agreement signed. So I do have to meet with you ahead of time. Like I said, people are complaining about that. For me now, it's made every excuse for that has to be gone because I can't literally, unless I wanted to pay a $5,000 fine or whatever it is, can't show you a house without it.
Right.
Okay. So you can bring them in the office. You can bring them to wherever, coffee shop, whatever works for you. I personally, if they're close to the office, use the office because we got the office here. You can mirror your TV, your computer up there and show them the properties right on the screen. And that really, and we have agents to do that and it works really well. If not, you go with a sheet with a stack of the one-page MLSs that you're going to print out and you're going to have them there. So at this point, you're going to explain to them before you take them out, you want to sit down, just have a conversation, find out exactly what they want so you can best serve their needs. Explain that you've learned that there's this great process that helps people just like them find the right house at the best price in the least amount of time. So as a matter of fact, if any agent, and this is a great way to set you up and stop you from going out Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday. As a matter of fact, if any agent has to physically show you more than 5 to 7 houses, that agent's not doing their job. Changing the expectation of we're going to go out looking for houses for the next 3 months. So you're going to inform them. The first thing you do, and again, you can use your book or you can just use the one-page sheet. Talk a little bit about yourself, what you've done, things like that. Company information, what makes you as a realtor better. And then you're going to have some stuff about the neighborhood and talk about the neighborhood or the town or whatever it is that they're doing. Just have some stuff on that. Step 2, after you've done that, and you're going to do that inside of just a minute or two, a couple minutes, is you're going to ask questions. First thing, the biggest thing you want to find out is, are they an A, B, or C? Am I here, is this going to be good or am I wasting my time? Should I refer them out? Or is it in the middle? The more questions you ask, remember, the more you take control of the conversation, which is what you want. Questions help eliminate objections that may come later. So when you do get the same question more than once, I always tell people that's why we have our Thursday class. Bring it to the class to make sure you never get popped with that objection again. Good questions will stimulate them to tell you their motivation to buy. So find out if they're ready to buy today. And if they are, let's find them the right house. If they're not, well, yeah, we're not really looking for 3 months. Well, I have to tell you that in 3 months, all the houses that are here now are going to be gone. So we're best off, let's go, maybe meet up again in 2 months. Let's stay in touch. I'll send you stuff. And as soon as you're ready to really go put an offer in, that's when we should go look at houses. Oh, but can't we just go get an idea? Well, I have to tell you, the way the real estate market changes, the house that's there today at that price, in 2 months, that house could be $50,000 more. The way things have changed, you don't know. Interest rates go up, interest rates go down.
Yeah.
Step 3, select houses. All right. So now you're going to be someplace, and I want you guys to be drama queens. All right. Here's what I want you to do. Have the MLS one-page sheets for all the houses in the price range. There might be 25, there might be 30. You know what the shiny pennies are, okay? So you already have those identified. So now what you want to do is show them houses in the price range and do this. You're scrappy peanut. So this is the MLS sheet. Oh, so we have this house. Oh, wait a second. You said you wanted a pool, right? Oh, this one doesn't have a pool. Or rip it up, throw it in the trash can. That's what I want you to do. You don't have to be that dramatic, although it's more fun when you're that dramatic. What I'm trying to do here, or you could do it the other way, like this, with a big X across it, no good, and then do it. You know, just make it a little, have some flair, man. You're like a bartender, have a little flair.
You'll see, yeah.
Make a little scene. Why am I doing this? Because when you've been looking at the things I've been sending you or wherever you've been looking, and you come in and you see this stack of 25 houses, what do you think to yourself? Cool, man, we got a bunch to choose from. What I'm doing now is I'm going to narrow this down to about only the shiny pennies. Now, there could something slide in here that's not on your shiny penny list, of course. And, you know, don't be that rigid. But you're going to go from 25 houses to roughly 5. You might go to 4 or 3. Sometimes that happens. You might be lucky and get 6 or 7, but that's going to be it. By the time you've done this and put this crazy show on, husband's looking at the wife like, oh my God, there's 4 houses. You know, there are 5 houses on this list. We already know the one doesn't work. It doesn't work for us because we don't want to be in that area because it's too far for me to get to work in that part of town because it's too far for me to get to work. Which of these 4 do we choose? See the mindset difference? Which of these 4 do I choose? And that's what you're trying to do is you're creating urgency by eliminating as many homes as you can and making them feel like of all the homes listed, only a few will work for them. Make sense? So this will completely change the mindset when touring the homes from let's see if we like them to which of the few that are available is best for us. And it will create commitment. So now, before you've had this meeting, paper drive me nuts. Before you've had this meeting, I want you to already have scheduled showings for them because you know where this meeting's going with these shiny pennies. Again, there might be one that you don't go see, but chances are if there's 5 shiny pennies, you're at least going to see 4 of them.
Right.
The other ones that they have, you can try to make appointments there too. Especially if you're going to go right after. Because one of the other things, if for some reason they meet with you today and say, we'll go out tomorrow morning, I need you to do a last minute, call them again. Because what will happen, they're the best of the best. Good chance one of them went under contract. If you don't do that and you go show them 5 houses, do you know which house of the 5 they're going to like?
The one that's under contract.
Why?
Just because somebody else wants it.
A lot of people say Murphy's Law. No, why? I actually gave you the answer, not directly, but I said it before.
Because it's the best of the best.
People will buy the best bang for the buck. And that house that was sold was somebody else in their price range that got the best bang for the
That
buck.
actually happened to me. I was looking for a place to rent down here.
Mhm.
It was the best one I seen,
Yep,
and it was already under the contract.
yep. And that's what happens, guys.
Yep.
So you want to, at all, whatever, anything you can, find out if something went under contract and not have your client go there. Can we go see it anyway? No, that one's gone.
Yeah.
I had agents, I tried that as a customer long before I was in real estate. And now I remember the agent must have had a good agent saying, no, that's already gone. Because I was in one of those markets. This was in 2001 in Princeton, New Jersey, where condos were flying off the markets. In the time I started looking until the time I bought, the property values went up $25,000 and it was over the course of like 2 months. So it was one of those markets like we had here in 2020.
Right.
So remember that you can be a little more flexible with A buyers because they've got to buy. That guy needs out of that residence in like it's nobody's business. Step 4 is inspect. but don't oversell the property. We talked about this in the beginning. It's just a kind of a reminder. Let the buyer decide if they like it. Go out and have fun with the buyers. Don't push them. Make it a comfortable, relaxed experience for the buyers. If they feel like you're pressuring them or, whatever else, you get people that no matter what, a salesperson is going to try and talk you into something. They have that feeling. But they get out, all of a sudden they realize you're not, you're just having fun with them. They're going to relax. And this whole thing's going to go better.
That can solve.
Right. Again, going back to not being too attached to the sale, because this is your what? This is your hobby money. Your real job is making your money off of selling listings. So tell them to check the house out, tell them if they like it, and if you have any questions. And as I said, some of those questions, say, you know what, we'll talk about those questions afterwards. I want you just to see, and again, be honest with them. I want you to know if you like the house or not. Are you going to like the house better if I tell you there's 3,000 square feet to 2,000 square feet? No, you're going to sit there and see what's the price per square foot and start doing math in your head and not pay attention to the fact that you either like or don't like the granite in the kitchen. Right. And explain it to them. And, oh, okay, we'll talk about all this. Trust me, if you decide you love this house, we'll talk about all this. And don't even worry about that stuff now, because I'm the best negotiator you're going to find. If it's a little higher, a little whatever, we'll work on it. So, number 5, paperwork. Return to the office. 2014 called. They want their training back. Yeah, nowadays you can do your paperwork anywhere. We were looking at a house in Riverview. Thank God we didn't get it. Traffic down there is insane. But anyway, I went in to see it. Walked out. Decided we wanted it. Sat in the front seat of my car, put the offer in, and by the time I got the offer in, it was already gone. In that amount of time. In that amount of time. Should have looked quicker at the house, I guess, right? Anyway, but my point is you can write an offer anywhere, including even in the house when you're writing the offer that you're looking at. Just put your computer on an island. If you have an iPad and you have cellular, I don't even bother having cellular anymore because I just stream off my phone. If you wait, I actually had a guy, Josh Joslin taught me this. It was an old sales manager, car sales manager, in a sales training that he did, just a general sales training. And he said, if somebody says to you, who's talking about selling cars, we're going to come back first thing in the morning and buy it. He said, when they leave, 100 things can happen and 99 are not in your favor. And it's true. Just anything can happen. So when you have them, they say, we want this house. If you created urgency, you say, look, somebody else might have an offer, this, that, whatever. Do what you have to do. Get that done then and there. Number 6. This is where people lose clients right and left, an ongoing communication plan. Remember we talked about this with sellers? It's just as important with buyers. Create a systematic plan to stay in touch with your past clients, but also your current clients to build referrals. So with a current client, let's start with that. With a current client, you want to tell them, if there's no houses here, I'm only going to call you when a shiny penny comes up. So if you don't hear from me for a week and a half, it's not that I'm neglecting you, don't care about you, this, that, whatever. And you can call me at any time. Or if you'd like, we can schedule a meeting every Friday at 2:00 just to go over what's happening in the market. But don't think I'm neglecting you. Some people just assume whatever. Yeah. And what happens? My realtor never gets back to me. I haven't talked to him in a week and a half. I'm going to go with Eureka. Right. Same thing with the client after you work with them. Stay in touch with them and build a referral business. The stories I have of realtors that have been in this business for so long, they wouldn't have to ever make a phone call again if they just stayed in touch with the people that they sold houses to. But they don't. The statistic was 86 or 88% of people said they'd use the same realtor again. Only 12%, 13% actually do. When asked, well, where's the disconnect? I don't even remember my realtor's name. They were good, but I don't know how to get in touch with them. Whose fault is that? The client's or yours? It's yours. Questions on today's training, and I'm going to, before we take questions, I'm going to cut us off. Thank you for everybody that watched us on YouTube.